Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode. I have my lovely guest. She's to the left of me. So when you see this, she may be to the right. So either way, we have the lovely Glamour Witch, Alexis Jackson, who I will introduce you to. And, actually, she's more of a resident guest. She's been here so many times.
Right.
So before we get into today's topic of the Mars retrograde, the next 60 days, how to round off 2022, I have two special surprises. This is the 400 episode, so this kind of came aligned in this way. The first surprise gift I have for you is a bundle gift, bundle package, combining package and bundle, a bundle. Mm-hmm. And this is 3 courses. And so it is the Activating Your Inner Goddess Masterclass, which is already out. And that includes helping you to express yourself, the Goddess Lifestyle, Pleasure Principle. That's day 1, 2, and 3. The next one is the Sacred Sovereign Sorcery course. And that deals with enchantment, enchanting, embodying, and prospering. And the third part of this bundle is a course that has not been released yet, but will be shortly. So you're getting the heads up, first dibs on this, the Confidence Cauldron. And this is where there are several modules to help you establish, expand, and gain all that confidence you need and more to continue on. So those 3 courses, which the prices are going up for 2 of them, and Confidence Cauldron will come out at $100 for all 3 of these. It's $77 to celebrate this monumental episode. So that's that. All right. And you can go to tiamariejohnson.com/bundle. Link will be in the description here. And next is, I wish I had a drum roll. It is here, the Enchantress Podcast Network. And this is where I will be highlighting me and my team, podcasters, and all that jazz. And I just want to give just a little taste of it because I want to dive into today's episode. But that is the surprise. There are already several podcasters part of the Enchantress Podcasting Network. And if you are looking to get your podcast started, or if you have a podcast and you're looking for a team to help you with production, editing, and all that jazz, come my way. You can go to enchantress.podcastnetwork.com. The link will be in the description of this episode. And I would love to have you part of this group. More to come, but just that little piece right there. So I need to introduce you to my girl, Alexis Jackson, spiritual healer, singer, and owner of the Glamour Witch. I talk about her often. I get her oils, her reading, I can go on and on and on about Alexis. Her songs are on my playlist. I recommend them. All right, so you can connect with her at the Glamour Witch LA on Instagram and theglamourwitch.com, her website. I will post a link to her YouTube channel. So Alexis, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I'm so happy to have you here. And I feel like we're twinning today, or the yin and yang, because red's my favorite color and I'm rocking it. But I feel like we got like a nice little rock session going on here.
Yes. And I got purple in the background and
yes.
You're wearing purple. Yes. It's amazing. I love it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And so Alexis, when you, I forget if we were just talking or you want another episode and you're like, yeah, we should do something for, Samhain, the end of October. And I'm like, whatever you want, girl, whatever you want.
Yes, it's definitely a very auspicious time right now for a lot of different reasons. Mm-hmm. Of course, Samhain is what all witches are super excited about. And it's going to be just as magical as it always is with this new eclipse. The eclipse actually is happening today.
Right.
And then we have this Mars retrograde. A lot of planets have gone direct that were retrograding before. So it's a very interesting little pocket of time right now that we are entering into.
No, yeah, it's so interesting because when I was doing a little bit of research for our show today, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's the solar eclipse today at the time of this recording. And I'm like, there's a lot going on. Yeah. And so some of the things I look at when there's a retrograde or eclipse, full moon, new moon, I like to look at the elements behind what's going on. And, with Mars here, we got the fire energy. And I also saw that this Mars retrograde will be in Gemini like the whole time.
Yes.
So we have air energy, we have fire energy. And then I saw, what is it? Oh, I remember where I saw the water. So Mars rules over Aries, but traditionally Scorpio. So there's also some water energy. So have you been feeling a mixture of this fire, air, water energy going on?
Yeah, it's really interesting, this Mars retrograde being in Gemini, because it's really focusing on the ways that we think, our process, our system of deducing how things are going to be assessed or established, and also our communication. Gemini is such a highly intelligent sign. It's kind of almost like the know-it-all sign of the zodiac. And in this placement, we're going to find that there is going to be a lot more heated conversations. And we're going to be reevaluating a lot. And because of the way that it's all sitting and placing, the signs that are going to be impacted the most are obviously Gemini, Aries, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. And so I've definitely been feeling the shadow period, which is being like sluggish, maybe feeling tired, not as motivated as you normally are, and just not knowing what the hell is going on, but having your mind like very active and very present. Like you have the list, you know what it is that you want to do, you know what you need to execute, but like your body and your energy is just not clicking. And it's a very frustrating time, you know, when you have all these things rattling off in your brain. And then when it gets time to do it, there's just almost like no energy to execute, you know? So this is going to be very challenging for all of us collectively, but especially those signs that I listed. And this is going to be lasting for 2.5 months, which is kind of like a little bit like overstaying its welcome, in my personal opinion. So it's going to be a doozy, and we'll see it also play out on the world stage as well, in terms of government, public leaders, and hopefully nothing too crazy, but you know.
Yes.
It happens.
Yeah, no, it definitely happens. And I love that you said shadow period too, because not many people talk about it. And, you know, especially when it comes to a retrograde, people hear, you know, Mercury retrograde, you know, that's like the most popular one.
Yeah.
And even with that, people don't talk much about the shadow period. So I was looking up some dates. And so as you were saying, it lasts for a couple of months. And so I have here from October 30th to, what was it, January 12th? That is a long time. And then there's the, I'm sorry, yeah, that's the retrograde. And then Mars will be in Gemini up until March 30th. So there's a lot of time to redo, because I looked up a lot of things that we should be focusing on, because I know we also are going to talk about like how to wrap up 2022. But one of the things I heard while I was researching was, don't start nothing, won't be nothing, just James Brown static, like you got some static. So are you also seeing that? Because I'm hearing a lot of don't initiate anything, but if someone initiates something, just like think about how you're going to respond to that because of that Mars energy.
Right. Tempers are much easier to flare during this time. And it's much easier to make mistakes in terms of conversations, and in terms of even just like drawing up contracts, or just little stupid, simple, silly mistakes. And same thing with communication errors that can lead to really big miscommunications, and just struggling to get your point across in a way that doesn't allow other people to feel either defensive or as though you're not respecting them or not hearing them. And so that's going to be a very big focus. It's going to be really challenging for a lot of people who are maybe used to being very dominant in conversation, or maybe have always been very eloquent or confident in their speech. They're going to be finding that it's very hard to impart whatever it is they're trying to share to other people. They're either not going to get it at all. They're going to be met with maybe a little bit of like antagonistic, heated debate out of nowhere for no reason. And so, yeah, it's definitely the time to take a pause, take a breath. And I highly recommend anytime you're feeling that frustration to do some physical, releasing, right? So exercise, movement, dance, going for a run. I know we're coming into the colder months, and so some places you can't really like go out and go for a run, but it's really important to keep the body active and to keep the body moving and to release that frustration or any like, just like trapped energy through movement, because it is going to be one of those periods where you're going to feel like you want to crawl out of your own skin.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to be rough.
Yeah, Mars is just such a powerful planet, and I feel like sometimes it gets a bad rep because it's associated with aggression, passion, power, those things. So what exactly is the Mars retrograde? Because I have some things in my mind. I would love to hear your perspective and if you plan on doing anything special during this time.
So for me, the research that I've done on Mars, because Mars is, like you said, the planet of war and lust and power, it has a lot to do with your ambition, your passion, your enthusiasm for life. The retrograde is basically giving you an opportunity to readjust or re-advise the things that you draw your confidence, your strength, and your power from, right? And so this can have a lot of people doubting themselves, doubting their abilities and their gifts. Places where they were very self-assured, they are now suddenly going to be questioning, right? Especially if you've been on a career path or, whatever, you're going to be starting to have maybe some doubts around, okay, well, is this really what I want to do? Like, how much longer do I have to push for this? Is this like really my life path? And maybe even people, out of fear that they're on the wrong path, switching in, this time, which is not the time to do it, right? It's the time to contemplate. It's time to revise and do the pros and the cons. For me, I think that this time is also about recognizing either where you're not standing up for yourself and you're allowing other people to run over you, you know what I mean? And kind of control you, and, or how you allow other people to control your emotions, and then vice versa. How are you, asserting yourself? How are you asserting your dominance in spaces? Are you overbearing? Are you somebody who isn't willing to have that give and take? Aries is a, big prominent sign of Mars. And so when we think of just the zodiac sign of Aries, they're the trailblazer, right? They're, the baby of the zodiac, which brings in a little bit of immaturity, but at the same time, they're very powerful. They're bold. They're willing to do things that the other signs aren't willing to do. They're risk takers, right? And so when is the appropriate time to take a risk? And when is it an appropriate time to sit back and kind of wait, temper our words, our actions with wisdom and discernment, so that we don't plow through and potentially harm other people, ourselves, or set shit on fire that actually would be very helpful for us in the long term.
Right. Yeah, as you were talking, I heard like set ablaze, set fire. Like there are some things that that bridge needs to be burnt. There needs to be no form of anything, no. But then there are other times where it's maybe we didn't have to go that far. So it's like
exactly. Yeah, it's very Aries energy. And I think too, for me, I always do, especially when they're prominent retrogrades that I feel like, wow, this is going to be a doozy. I'll always do a retrograde protection ritual. I did one for the Mercury retrograde and for the 6 retrogrades that we just came out of. And I'm doing one today on this new moon in Scorpio and solar eclipse to basically just protect from the negative effects of the retrograde, which can be a myriad amount of things for people depending on their placements, but also to continue to encourage, enthusiasm, ambition, courage, these things as we move through that period of time, so that people can still feel action oriented. I will be doing a lot of workings around calming and soothing hot heads. I think that that's something that a lot of people should maybe consider during the time, right? Because there's going to be a lot more. It's like, the holiday seasons always bring up a lot of frustration and anxiety for all of us, right? Especially when you're going around your family and friends and everything like that. And it creates a lot of anxiety and even very emotional, like depression, right? These things are traditional in this time, as although it's supposed to be this happy time for coming together and sharing and loving each other. this will be amplified. All that anxiety and all that stuff will kind of be amplified because it's testing to see if your coping mechanisms and the ways that you're going about it, are they actually helping you? Or are they just kind of putting a Band-Aid over a flesh wound, right? So we'll even see relationships change, right? No, people are no longer going to want to have relationships with people where they don't feel as though they're meshing and they're clicking. They will gladly walk away and say, you know what? I'm no longer interested in, being in this emotional relationship, this business partner, this friendship, whatever the case may be. And I'm willing to walk away from it to have more established connections, or we're going to see a lot less hookup culture, right? People are not going to be as passionate sexually, right? They're going to be looking for something deeper than that. They're going to be looking for intimacy, but they're also going to be stagnated in that as they learn how to walk away from just fulfilling their, sexual urges, and more looking into like, okay, how do I actually communicate and connect with these people? And so it's all very beneficial and healing. But if you're somebody who has not been like doing that work or thinking about that prior to this, it's going to come and hit you like a ton of bricks, and it's going to be a real test.
Just like, good luck with that. I'm trying to tell you.
It's cuffing season right now. We are in cuffing season. Like this is the time everybody's trying to find their little boo for the
set yourself up like that.
And it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard because you're going to find that, if it's just not melding, like even if you just want to fake it till you make it, it won't even work that way. You'll find you're way more irritable by people's the tiny little things. Right. And those relationships are just not going to be as strong. Even sex is, for a lot of people, will be feeling as though they don't find the same joy around having sex with their partners as they once did. So it's a real test of like coming out of these like kind of primal, spaces and into your thoughts, your communication, your problem solving. And so I like to work with the angel Uriel for stuff like this, because he actually is rules Mars. And so it's a great angel to work with if you're looking to kind of find those simple solutions to issues that are coming up. And it's going to be very important to know how to problem solve, because there will be little snags and hiccups, and especially when dealing with people that you're, having more of an intimate connection with. So that's family, friends, and romantic partnerships.
Yeah. Oh man. Whew, you took us to school. You broke it down. And it is a lot during this time. And one of the things that I took from what you were saying is that this is a time to retest our emotions. How would we normally handle situations, or the healing that we've done? Because some people say, I did this, I did that. Well, now it's like, okay, let's see if it actually is working, because that's what you said. You said that you were working on yourself, and then boom, holiday season comes about, things happen, and the person is starting to act a little bit like the way they used to. So it's just make you think, are they really doing the work? Or if it's with ourselves, oh yeah, okay, this happened last season or 2 seasons ago, 2 holiday seasons ago. Now I can do better. So it's something is a time where people can really get to understand their emotions and take a few steps back to redo a certain situation or a similar situation differently.
Right. If you can pause before you speak, if there is no rush to answer, take the time. You know what I mean? I think too, a lot of people are going to see, like, if you had any falling outs in the shadow period or even prior with anyone, you may find that they may come back during this time to hash it out with you, right? To get either the last word or to speak their truth. And sometimes I think that there's an opportunity there for healing, right? And to get on the same page. But probably more times than not, it's going to be like, well, I want to say what I want to say, and you're about to shut me down. So this is what, paragraph
get that last word in,
and people in the comment section going off. So just, it's going to be easy to be snappy. It's going to be easy to get into disagreements and debates about things that are probably really not that big of a deal. You'll look back on sometimes, some of the things that maybe you you kind of gone head to head with people, and you might find like, okay, maybe that wasn't the hill I wanted to die on, you know,
like,
this is not as important as I thought, you know, but in the moment it feels like everything, like you have to make
yeah,
that point. It's the principle of the thing, right?
yeah,
And we're really finding out how many things actually are the principle of the thing, and then how
yeah.
many things are our ego. So it's going to be a very big test for people's ego trips. I mean, it's going to be dragging. It's going to be dragging us.
It's dragon season. I'm going to
Yeah.
drag everyone. No,
it's
but
getting
it's
hot.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday about the principle of things, because that's what I'm about, the principle, not so much the dollar value, not so much whatever, it's the principle. And we were just talking about how we were splitting checks, and sometimes depending on who I'm with, one person would say, oh, you know, I'll put it on my card and I'll Venmo you guys. But that's a trust factor there. Like if I Venmo you, I trust that you're going to pay me back because I fronted you for convenience. And we were saying that sometimes, you know, a meal could be $10. And that was my meal. I had like 2 slices of pizza. So it was like $10, and it was only 4 of us. So my friend was saying, you know, if this was like a larger group, which it typically is, $10 times 10 people, that's $100. Now, some people might say, oh, it's just $100. But also what I said was, some people will say, oh, it's just $10. You know, if it was $10 a person, yeah, but that $10 is now $100 on someone's card. While yes, it's that they volunteered, but also it's a convenience factor too. Someone's being courteous. Yeah. And there are people who will say, oh, well, it's just $10. Why do they want it back? Because it's the principle of it. Yeah. And your 10 times these other people here is now $100. But also it's the principle, is what you ate, right? Yeah, you ate, you had to eat. Right. But some people don't see it as that. So especially during this Mars, I was about to say Mercury, Mars retrograde, there may be a time where, you know, it's that same cousin, that same aunt, whomever. And it's like, you know what, this is the umpteenth time where I did this, you know, or it doesn't even have to be about money. It could be something that you do for the family for whatever reason. It doesn't mean that they can't honor that, because some people say, well, it's that person's choice. Yeah, but also it's convenience, it's consolidating, it's streamlining, it's forward thinking. And so one of my recommendations is to do things that are aggressive, that let you to give off that energy, like boxing, whatever's aggressive for whomever, right? Sometimes people would think, oh, that's too much. Why not try something new that will help you to reestablish something within that maybe you put on the back burner, but with that aggression, that to get it out, because everyone has that within them. A lot of people try to tone it or turn it all the way down, or down enough, you know, for them, so they can be nice and kind and sweet. Meanwhile, they're simmering on the inside, waiting to have this supernova moment. And everyone's just like, oh, you're crazy. It's like, no, that person's not crazy. They've been holding in a lot, and so many other things. Exactly. Yeah. And I think this is like, because of the time that it is, it's people are going to be more prone to, like, you know, want to just lay down and not do anything, you know, and be very inactive, you know, just with the season. And then on top of that, like, we're going to be having Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas dinners, and we're going to be drinking eggnog and eating those Christmas cookies. And it's going to be very easy to succumb to the lack of motion, right? And so, like, I highly recommend that whatever you do, keep yourself active, you know, and not just active in the mind or actively running your mouth, like move your body, you know, whether that's stretching or yoga or dancing for 20 minutes to some of your favorite music. Move your body in a space, because it is going to, you're not always going to get an opportunity to voice how you feel, right? And sometimes you're going to recognize, if I say something right now, this is probably going to turn into something else, but you still need to clear it the same way you would be if you were expressing that truth to someone. So exactly what you said, you gotta find a way to, whatever that means for you, to stay physically active right now, because your body is going to be taking a little bit of a toll, right? It's gonna, you know, the things that are not being spoken are going to be transmuted within the body. And if you're not properly, because if you're eating the eggnog, you're drinking the eggnog and you're eating the Christmas cookies and you're not doing any of the stuff, by the time
January rolls around and you're in 2023, you're gonna be like, dang, I'm ready for my exercise goals. And your body's gonna be like, yo, I don't know what you thought, but we get fatigued from all this.
Right.
Like, you have to wait till February, maybe March.
You better calm that down.
Yeah, exactly. Y'all trying to go ham January 1st.
Right.
Stop playing like you didn't just come back from that New Year's party.
Right. Your body will let you know. Oh my God. I'm gonna tell a quick story. And then I want to shift to talk about how can we wrap up 2022, because you're talking about 2023 and I'm already like, oh God, got the itchies. Like, it's like 2 months away. So speaking of drinks, my friend had came to town and he was like, hey, like you want to go to the Eagles game and watching the Eagles? So we ended up going to this pub and I'd been drinking Guinness for enough years, no problem. And we had a shot. Man, my body was just like, Tia, you know, but you know, you have not been drinking like that, great girl. And here I am thinking I think honestly it was the shot, but there was a part of me that was like a little bit ashamed of myself. Like, Tia, you can do this. What is going on here? But again, you know, and that was just like one day and, you know, the Eagles won and I was all like, yeah, another pint. And I'm going to say it was the shot of whiskey that ruined it because it's never Guinness. But yeah, that's just one day. And imagine from Thanksgiving all the way to New Year's and you're just drinking, doing all this stuff. Your body's just like, what? And your body, by the time those night was it 30 plus, a little over 30 days, your body's already in a new groove now. So now you got to undo what you just did. And that's not going to happen starting the second week of January. So be cautious about that too.
Yeah.
A time to do things differently. You don't have to drink, you know, to that point where you're arguing with Aunt Joe or Uncle Joe and all these other people. And okay, so.
Right. It's so funny that you bring that up because I'm actually taking a hiatus from drinking as well. I've been noticing that there was a period of time, especially in like June, July, where I actually got COVID. And so I wasn't drinking when I had COVID. And after I got better, I just didn't have the urge to drink. Yeah. So I didn't drink for like a month and like my body, my skin, my vitality, my sleep cycle, everything came back online in a really beautiful way. And then after a while, I was like, okay, well, you know, maybe I'll go out for drinks with my friends, you know, and, you know, it went right back into that cycle of like not being able to stay asleep at night and all these other things. And I started to be able to actually pinpoint it to drinking. So I've been looking for alternatives, you know, I really like Kin Euphoric, which is a nootropic elixir, three spirits, which is also the same thing, an elixir that promotes that social energy without having all the nastiness of alcohol basically poisoning you. And it's great for your brain, it's great for your body, your immune system, and it actually promotes a more healthy, you know, digestion as well. So looking for those options during the holiday season, I think that's a great alternative because it's the drink, eat, and be married season. And so it's so easy to slip.
Be careful.
It's so easy to slip.
It's so easy. I know people who only drink around certain people because they know when other people drink, they get in their zone and then they're just like, okay, I can't get comfortable because I gotta cut that off, you know, with the other person. And so, yeah. And the thing is, some drinks are good, like, because again, I just love Guinness. It's a dark beer and it's good for iron and things like that. So I love it. But again, it's you know, who you're around. Like that's one of my good friends. So no worries, no problem. But yeah, when you're out in this holiday season and you know, don't do it to yourself because not only is it holiday season, it's Mars retrograde and some ish is about to go down and people are going to try and test you. Don't let them get in control of your emotions by thinking they can push those same buttons. Like, nah, it's a new day. It's a new motherboard, new buttons.
Period.
So speaking of that, we are at the time of this, this episode goes live. We have 60 days left of 2022. Yeah. So 67, right at the time, something like that. So like very little time is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And there are so many things I feel like needs to be done. What are some things that you would suggest with the Mars retrograde, eclipse, like all these seasons are going on? What are some of the things that you would love to recommend to people as a heads up and all that jazz for wrapping up the rest of this year. And I'm going to shuffle some cards.
Yes. So for me, I will be doing a lot of clearing, right? There's a lot of stuff I know that I don't want to take into 2023, right? So I will be doing some mad shadow work from now until the end to really unearth and expose parts of myself that are still like holding me back and lingering, that I could release and give to spirit, right? So it's going to be the purging period for me personally, and I would highly recommend doing some cleansing and clearing rituals. Some road opening work. I always like to start the new year with a road opener, just to usher in some good energy and to allow for a clear path to show up, whether it be literally like you clearing the path towards your success, or just a mental focus and clarity that you need, an emotional clearing, so that you can actually move forward with more success. I would really be focusing on reevaluating your emotional relationships. You know, are there people in your life right now who do nothing but bring you negativity, trigger you and not in a positive way, like, you know, for your soul's growth, but just who kind of bring this negative energy, and you feel like you have to like cleanse yourself from being around them. You know, how are you dealing with those relationships? Have you just kind of been like, oh, well, I've known them for a long time, or, you know, that's just how so and so is that frame, you know, mind actually serving you further, or could you actually do without that relationship so that a new relationship can come in and, you know, be more beneficial? So a lot of releasing, a lot of purging, a lot of doing work around sensuality, sexual healing, healing sexual trauma with this Mars retrograde. I think is a really good time for that. And today's new moon in Scorpio. And then honing in on your intuition, spending some time during these last couple of months as we move into the colder season, really delving into spiritual connectiveness and your third eye, and receiving those downloads and those messages as to how you should be starting your new year. Because of course all of us have our goals, but you know, the universe always has a different time.
Universe like, oh, you thought what? Oh, that's exactly. So cute. Go ahead. You're so cute. No, it's so true. I love everything you said. And I love how you also establish it as for the long run, like the road opener. You know, we're opening up passage ways, things like that, not just, oh, let's do like a 30, not knocking a 30-day thing or anything people do, but especially on this personal growth, spiritual journey, we have to be in it for the long haul. And if we don't, then we set ourselves up with New Year's resolutions and, you know, do the whole sign up for the 4-week, whatever, ever. And I think when it comes to things like that, do things that are more fun, something that you want to try new, like, hey girls, you want to go try like Pilates for, I don't know, like 2-3 weeks, like something that you won't take as, and I'm not saying that Pilates isn't serious. What I'm saying is that something that if you don't finish it, you're not going to judge yourself. You're not going to do all these negative self-talk things because you went in lighthearted. You know, just trying it out. But, you know, if they're doing things that you are suggesting, Alexis, I would say like, yeah, this is a long haul. This is something that when you are looking at your emotions, when you're looking at opening roads and all that jazz, you're looking at what needs to stay there. You know, even parts of ourselves. It just, thank you. You got me this far to self. Now, you know, 2023, sorry, but this part of me. And it's interesting because there's always a part of us that we need to let go of a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Yeah. And this is why I love the people who I hang around, like you know, people who I go to, because we don't see these things on a day-to-day basis with ourselves. You know, so if someone else can have that objective eye, even if it's, you know, as you were saying with their third eye, you know, our own third eye helps, but when someone else can do that for us, it provides a new, fresh perspective. Yeah. And we have to be able to listen, you know, because now we know who it's coming from, because we've been very discerning about who we hang around, right? So I love that. Are you going to have a class on the road opener
I'm definitely going to be doing a road opening ritual
Okay.
towards the end of the year. So I
Mhm.
always do a road opening, and I also do a yearly reading. So
Okay.
right
All
around
right.
like the last 2 or 3 weeks of December, I will start to offer my yearly readings for 2022, and I just go by each individual month,
Mhm.
and kind of break down like what to expect in that month. And then I will also close out 2022 with a road opening to usher in,
Yes.
new abundant opportunities, and
Yeah.
anything that we're trying to pursue, that the road be open, and all we have to do is walk down the path and get out of our own way, basically.
Right. Our own way. Quick question for you. Are you going to come out with an oracle deck? Because I'm just loving the red hair. I'm like, she needs to be a high priestess. Like, I just got a picture like you high priestess in a tarot, like, like your picture on a tarot. I'm just like, I was listening, but I'm
Oh
just
my
saying while
God.
you were talking, I was also getting this image of you.
Yes,
I'm
I
like,
love that. I love that. I
deck.
would love to do a tarot deck. And I actually was kind of speaking with a friend who's an artist, and we thought about doing like a little like something, but it's not really taken off. But I mean, you know what? You're planting the seed. I might have to
I
put that out
mean,
there.
it's Mars retrograde to rethink.
Hey.
Or maybe even an oracle. Oracle may be easier because you can write whatever you
Right.
want and you can still
Exactly.
have your high priestess or whatever, but it
Exactly.
needs to be that red hair, girl, is what I'm saying. I'm loving it. It's like
Thank
fire,
you.
priestess, all that. All that. I mean, Aquarius is air, air fuels
Yes.
fire. Fire needs
Yep.
it. Fire ain't nothing without
Flaming the
that
fire.
oxygen. I'm telling you. So I am pulling, or I pulled 3 cards from the Halloween Oracle. So
Awesome.
people may be familiar with this. I use this right around this time each year. So it's amazing because the first card is death. And Alexis, if you feel free to chime in, please, because I'm not like, don't you dare say anything. Like if you hear something, you can definitely chime in.
Okay.
It has the eternal cycle begins here. So with this card, my let's see, there we go. My light is really
Wow.
bright.
Beautiful.
What I love about this is, a lot of people when they see the death card, they get a little bit like, and it's interesting because we should be a little bit like, because we are releasing something and we need to have that moment. It shouldn't be a frightful moment. Don't be fearful. Don't be any of that. Just understand that things do have to end. And it's interesting because, again, I forgot that it was a new moon today. So many things going on. With new moon means something new, working towards full. So we have that, something ending, newness beginning. Then we have Samhain, right, which is New Year. So 1 year in, New Year coming. We have we have all these new things coming about. And just as Alexis was saying, with the road opener and evaluating and so forth, some things have to stay behind. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people want to bring it all with them and pay attention to your dreams. That's what I'm hearing as well, because I'm someone in my dreams, when I'm trying to leave, there's usually a suitcase or something like, oh, I got to get my stuff. And then finally I had one dream where I left the things, and that was the thing. I had to not carry all the luggage to leave, to escape. I had to just keep it there. So that's the first card. Anything you want to add? And you don't have to add anything if you don't want to, but if
I mean, I actually was picking up too, just because the season that we're coming into, like everything is dying, right? Like the trees, the plants. I mean, we're literally coming into the point of the year where the veil between this realm and the spirit realm, where we get to speak to our passed on loved ones, is very thin, right? So we're dealing with a lot of that death energy at this time. And I think, exactly what you said, it's not even just the dying of the light. It's the part of us that we feel like we've had to uphold for this year. And I think that it has served us, but being able to release into this new cycle where we are, in a way, I don't want to say going into hibernation, but in a way we are, we're understanding that it is no longer that active summer season. It's not the harvest season. It's the time to, bat down the hatches and, make sure you got the wood cut and you're ready to be in for the long, cold winter. Right. And so that can mean, that beautiful garden that you've spent a lot of time with, like, yeah, those plants are going to be gone. Doesn't mean they're not going to come back, or doesn't mean that other beautiful things can't sprout in those places. But, grieving and mourning appropriately
Mhm.
without stopping yourself from stepping into the new cycle.
Yeah, and that's the very thing which I love, which is one reason why I love this next card, forgiveness, reducing burden. And I love this because it's
Mm.
like in the palm of your hands, right? So many things are in the palm of our hands. It's within reach.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of people say, oh, forgiveness isn't about forgiving a person, but I'm not even going to say all that, because whenever I hear it, I'm like, yeah, but I feel like people are missing the point.
Right.
And the thing is, forgiveness looks different for different people. So, especially during this time where we are wrapping up so much, reevaluating other things, and really using our aggression, our passion, our creativity, because Mars, fire energy, in so many ways. I'm just gonna say work on forgiving
Yeah.
yourself for however you operated back then, because
Mhm.
you were working with whatever you had at that time,
Right.
and there were still things yet to be revealed to you. So I'm looking at this as self-forgiveness.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. I think that it's a reminder that a part of that, like moving on and, moving into the news phase, is not being weighed down by unforgiveness. And I think a lot of us are going to
Mm-hmm.
have to do a lot of biting the bullet, and also forgiving and also apologizing at
Mm.
this time for actions either said or done throughout the year, or just during this Mars retrograde
Yeah.
period. And to try to have the same type of forgiving heart that you would want to have someone to have for you. And
Yeah.
just kind of remembering that, if you're going to go through this time, you know, how much baggage do you want to carry? Just like you were saying before, how much of this unforgiveness is actually a weight on you that you can release so that you can be light, for this
Mm-hmm.
new season.
Right. And I'm also hearing don't look for closure. Just be your own closure. Don't
Yes.
try to your point earlier, someone want to have the last word.
Mm-hmm.
Have it with yourself. You're not
Right.
going to get that with some people. And the final card I have here, which makes perfect sense, invisibility, and it states here authenticity. And this is so interesting to me, because I'm just hearing what my pop-up would say. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest person. And the
Mm-hmm.
strongest person is usually that person like off to the side. Now, usually, sometimes people who are
Yeah.
powerful and like really decent, they have, big voices, they're commanding, they take up the room. But also is that group of powerful people, the real ones, not the I'm real, no, like the real ones. They're just easily can move in and out of a room almost as if they're invisible. And you had to know who they are, like, oh, no, that's so and so. And
Yeah.
that's what I feel like is, don't worry about showing up to all these places. Go where you need to go and just be your authentic self, because people can't even, came to me, like they can't see you, like John Cena, they can't see you because you're off their radar, like you can with some people. So
Right.
you're just that good.
Yeah. It's that move in silence period as well, do your work, and don't need attention to do that work,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, don't seek that validation, and know that if you're not being seen right now, it could be a very beneficial thing while you're doing what you need to do behind the scenes. Because
Yeah.
once spring comes around and you're gonna pop up, right? You want to make sure that you were able to do what you needed to do, execute without anybody's prying eyes or
There you go.
copycats, or people who want
Yep.
to drain and take from you. So that invisibility can be a really beautiful divine protection, and to recognize that it's okay to be you know in the background, at least for now, until you can pop out with all the beautiful things that you've been working on internally and externally.
There you go. There you go.
Mhm.
Alexis, as always, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. You are always welcome.
Thank
Doesn't matter, whatever you want to talk about. Any final words and anything you got coming up that you want to share?
Yeah, just check me out on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, the Glamour Witch LA on my socials. And yeah, check out my website, theglamourwitch.com. I have classes and courses as well as oils and crystals and candles and all of the magical
incense,
things.
all the jazz.
Yes, all of it. And then if you're interested in listening to any of my music, you can find me on all major music streaming platforms. Just type in Alexis Nicole Jackson.
Nice. And you hit a milestone milestone in your streaming too, right?
Yeah, my album Elixir and Smoke Volume 1 reached 1 million streams. So that was pretty awesome.
Ooh, congratulations. I know someone famous.
we getting there.
Love it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate you.
You're most welcome. It's always so much fun and insightful, and I always learn. So yes, thank you for coming on the show. To everyone, I'm sending you so many blessings, lots of love. You know, I'm rooting for you. Be kind to yourself. Until next time.